Hello and welcome to Step Up World, the official broadcast of the Global Climate Action Summit. I'm Rajesh Mirchandani, your host, and with your help, we're bringing the summit to the world and the world to the summit. Now, this is day 2 of this huge event. It's brought together more than 4,000 climate champions from all over the world, from all sectors and from all walks of life. It's been making news and attracting headlines, both for what's being said inside and outside these halls. We want you to join the conversation as well, and in a second, we'll tell you exactly how to do that. Now, on Step Up World, we bring you some of the newsmakers. We bring you world leaders, scientists, celebrities, campaigners, all of whom are taking climate action to the next level in their own way. And we've also been hearing from people around the world who are stepping up as well to protect their part of the planet. Coming up in this show, we'll be talking to Hollywood actor Alec Baldwin about how and why he has become a fierce advocate for forests and the rights of indigenous peoples. And we'll also take you on a voyage across the Pacific in a traditional Polynesian canoe, courtesy of its captain. Now that she's back on dry land, she'll be joining us live in the studio. So, how can you join in? And what have people already been saying? To find out, let's head over to our social station and check in with our social media correspondent, Nicole Perez. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Rajesh. Thank you so much, and thanks to all of you for joining online and bringing your questions and comments to the conversation in here as well. Yesterday at Step Up World, we heard from amazing, inspiring climate heroes, including Jane Goodall, photographer Christina Mittermeier, and the Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley. Thank you all for your questions, and here's a look back at some of the social media highlights from Step Up World Studio. Aidan Gallagher, actor, activist, and UN Environment Goodwill Ambassador for North America, went live on Instagram to share a behind-the-scenes look at his interview. Christina Mittermeier got a great shot of Jane Goodall answering your social media questions. Speaking of which, you asked and Jane Goodall answered. Here, she shared a video response to a question from RJ Happel in New York. Remember, you can join the conversation online, tweet me at UN Foundation, and don't forget to use the hashtags StepUp2018 and GCast2018. Your questions, your messages may be shared on our live program with the biggest voices in climate action. Back to you, Rajesh.
Thank you very much, Nicole. We'll be checking in with you later on today. Jane Goodall was so great to have on the show yesterday. Plenty more excellent guests coming up today on Step Up World. But looking back to day 1 of the summit, we heard commitments and pledges from mayors, from governors, from world leaders, from global business tycoons. We also heard some tough questions about whether this community of leaders should be doing more and doing things differently to get a handle on climate change. So let's get a little recap of events here inside the summit on day 1. Check out this video. Thanks, Nicole. Great.
It is my distinct pleasure to welcome all of you to San Francisco.
This summit is about taking ambition to the next level.
Climate change threatens our workers, our jobs, and our economy.
The time for talk is past.
Are we condemned to a hothouse Earth?
You know, it all does start with the heart.
You're here, I'm here, because we care.
Our challenge is to fight pollution and poverty at the same time.
For us, combating global warming is not an issue, it's an ethic.
Over the last decade, the U.S. has cut its carbon emissions more than any other large nation in the world.
Now we're calling on every company to follow our lead to commit to being net zero company and 100% renewable.
We now have put additional agreements in place to achieve our commitment of being carbon neutral by the end of 2020.
I'm just one of the young entrepreneurs around the globe trying to see how best we can find new solutions to champion climate change mitigations.
It's really about showing the world that everyone is moving forward on climate action, and we're all in this together.
Wedge by wedge, scale by scale, the solutions are in place. We have the technologies, and we can succeed.
Let's bend the curve in the next 24 months.
What about us? The heavens are falling down. What about us? I can hardly breathe. What about us?
So those were a few highlights from day one of the summit. I love that choir kicking off the show yesterday with a bit of Michael Jackson. Never go wrong with a bit of Michael Jackson. During the summit, this venue has seen so many people come from all parts of the world. Among them have been sort of almost 4 dozen mayors from all over the globe who are talking about the climate action that they're taking in their communities. And I'm delighted to be joined by one of those. It's Mayor Patricia de Lille, the Mayor of Cape Town in South Africa. Mayor, it's a pleasure to have you on Step Up World. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Now, Cape Town, you know, we've been hearing so many stories about the effects that this beautiful city, your beautiful city, is experiencing as a result of climate change, including running out of water and drought. Tell us a little bit about the challenges that you face.
Climate change is definitely a reality. The lessons that we've learned emerging out of the worst drought in 100 years. All coastal cities around the world, scientists have projected that that is where you will have perpetual drought. So, of course, we realize we can no longer rely on rainwater only to fill our dams, that we have to change our relationship with water, and that you can only save water while you have it. So a team effort by the commercial sector, the communities, everyone in the city, we had to take steps to drive down our water usage and demand. And I'm very proud of Team Cape Town that we all came together, and within 2 years, we were able to reduce our water usage by 55%.
How did you manage to do that?
In January 2016, as a collective, we were using 1.2 billion litres of water a day. We have brought that down to usage just under 500 million litres of water a day. The effort by everyone. First of all, we all had to get used to using less water, but we also raised our tariffs. The more water you use, the more you pay. And when we found that some people who could afford to pay and therefore still continue to abuse water, we moved in, we removed their water meters, and we replaced it to restrict their water usage to 350 litres per day. And that was to send a strong message. We don't need your money. We need everyone in the city to save water.
That's quite a tough incentive.
Yes.
How do you go about kind of selling people on that and making them understand that it's important to do that?
I think the experience for me is that people were beginning to realize that by saving water, they're also saving money. And so by reducing the water, their water bills will reduce to almost very little compared to what they normally used to pay for water. But we also use a lot our schools, you know, to go to the children and give them education. And they became the policemen at home, telling their mothers and fathers what to do and when to save water. And of course, also we rely a lot on tourism in our city. And so the hospitality industry had to relook and redesign some of their hotels to use grey water to make sure that they run a campaign on all our visitors. But we've emerged from all of that now very successfully, emerged a water resilient city, I think the best in the world now. And so we're inviting tourists to come back. We're ready to welcome you.
Well, that's great to hear. And I hope that you'll be taking some of the learning that you've garnered through necessity in Cape Town to the other mayors who are here and the other mayors around the world who are all involved in climate action as well. Patricia de Lille, for the Mayor of Cape Town, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, it's a great pleasure.
World. Now, as I mentioned, there are some 4 dozen mayors from around the world here at the summit, and Patricia was one of the mayors that contributed to videos that we've been collecting through our friends at the C40 Cities initiative. So let's take another look now at some other mayors around the world and what they're doing to protect their part of the planet.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hola, soy Carla Rubilar Barahona, intendenta de la región metropolitana de Santiago.
My name is Kazumi Kobayashi, Deputy Mayor of the City of Yokohama. Hello, my name is Frank Jensen. I'm Lord Mayor of Copenhagen.
Hello, my name is Patricia DeLoe, Executive Mayor of Cape Town.
Hola, yo soy Horacio Rodríguez Larreta, jefe de gobierno de la Ciudad de Buenos Aires.
Hello, I'm Yuriko Koike, Governor of Tokyo.
I'm Wong Kam Singh, the Secretary for the Environment, Hong Kong, China.
Hi, my name is Eckhard Wilsner. I'm since 11 years now mayor of a wonderful city in Germany named Heidelberg.
Climate change is affecting all of us and we share the responsibility for the future of our planet.
Como autoridades tenemos que impulsar que otras instituciones y también la ciudadanía se comprometan con la lucha contra el cambio climático.
And I believe that cities, as drivers of change, have shown that they can walk the talk in addressing climate change.
Urgent action on climate change to deliver the highest goals of the Paris Agreement is vitally important.
Es fundamental que las grandes ciudades cumplamos con las metas establecidas en el Acuerdo de París para reducir los efectos del cambio climático, que son cruciales para nuestro presente y nuestro futuro.
As Mayor of Warsaw, I'm determined to act, but we can't do it alone. That's why I am calling on state governments,
businesses,
investors and citizens to join me.
To join me and step up ambition.
To join me and step up ambition. Let's work together.
The mayors there from around the world, they couldn't say it better. No one could say it better, in fact. Time to step up ambition, step up world. That's the message that we're sending from here, the Global Climate Action Summit. As I've said before, this has been a kind of melting pot of people from all walks of life and all sectors. We've talked about the mayors, we've heard from the mayors. There have been other well-known faces here, including scientists like Dr. Jane Goodall, who spoke to us on our last show. You can still see that on our Facebook, by the way, so please check that out if you missed it. She was here with the actor Alec Baldwin. They're both talking about the importance of preserving forests, and he stopped by the Step Up World studio as well, and I asked him about his commitment to that issue. Alec Baldwin, thanks very much for joining us on Step Up World. You're here at the Global Climate Action Summit as an advocate for forests and for the rights of indigenous peoples. We were speaking with Jane Goodall, who you're working with as well on those issues earlier, and I think it may be a little more easy for people to understand her connection to those issues. So I'm really interested to know, what is the thing that got you interested in those issues to the extent that you are now?
Well, I was asked a few years ago to narrate and to do a voiceover for the Equator Prize portion of a program at the United Nations Development Program and Environmental Program that was held at the UN. I mean, it's rare that they have that program at the UN, and they had it. And they asked me to contribute some voice work to that. And it was while I was reading the copy that I became intrigued by what I learned about deforestation and its role in climate change and so forth. And then I was asked to attend the event in Paris. And I was going to be one of several people that were doing the program, and then the attack happened. Mm-hmm. And most of the people declined to come. Mm-hmm. And I came because it was a very safe time to be in Paris after the attack, because there were armed guards everywhere and military. And I did that program, and every time I've engaged with this, my knowledge about it and my interest in it deepens. Mm. And this idea that we're never going to get to the Paris levels, we're never going to get to that without addressing the deforestation issue is my preoccupation now.
Have you seen solutions, or are you aware of solutions, or do you hear about things, ways to preserve forests that actually make you a bit more hopeful?
Well, I wouldn't say, well, I'm hopeful about the prospects, meaning what's actually happening and how that stuff is being enacted. I'm unclear, but I think that the prospects, when Goodall or other people say that, that there's plenty, the bad news is also the good news, that we have so much deforested land that if we reuse that land and use it more purposefully and use it more carefully and engineer the use of that for agriculture and I guess for livestocking, because you're never going to be able to stop people from eating meat. Mm-hmm. You can try to educate them about, but this idea that
you're yourself a vegan as well, aren't you? Yeah.
I'm not a vegan, but I don't eat red meat, right. and the idea being that. But you can teach people that want to consume those products. I mean, in a perfect world, you would educate people about how beef production affects global warming. Mm. but a lot of people, especially in my country, really don't care. They want to eat what they want to eat. They're privileged Americans who want to do what they want to do.
Was that a factor in you not eating red meat? Climate change?
No,
okay.
No.
Right.
I became a vegetarian in order to date my first wife.
Okay.
She was a famous vegetarian.
That may be a story for another program.
Yeah, I think it's another program.
We'll have to get into that another time.
But to finish your question, which is this idea that you can't outlaw meat, but what you want to do is you want to guide the essential forces toward properly using the land that's already been cleared. We don't need to clear any more land. Right now, there's plenty of land to achieve their agricultural goals, their livestocking goals, and so forth.
Now, this summit, the Global Climate Action Summit, is celebrating and showcasing action and ambition from all levels, from national governments, but particularly all the way down, like regional governments, city mayors, businesses, faith-based groups, young people, scientists. How do you feel about the ability of all that, what we call subnational action, to make a difference?
Well, I think that the two things come to mind off the top of my head. One is that when you ask Goodall and other people, when you ask the people I've been working with at the United Nations Development Program about why indigenous people, why at the most local level are they the best stewards of this space, and they know this space and they know what's happening there, what should be happening there. They're very keenly attuned to what changes that they perceive in the biodome there, if you will. But at the same time, I'm a big believer in latent learning, that you take young people and you teach them the rudiments of environmental conservation, whether it's recycling, whether it's, if you want to get as advanced as I'm getting into a vegetarian diet because of what that does to because of what meat consumption does to the environment. And this idea of reforestation, of the protection and restoration of forests, and the need for us to plant as many trees as possible. If you to get plastics, single-use plastics out of the environment, all these things, all these different issues are learning opportunities for young people to raise them with a consciousness that I never had when I was a kid. People told us that the more meat you ate, the better. You were going to be, as an American, that was your birthright. That was part of the 3 food groups they told you. And I include dairy in the beef equation. But I think that I'm very keen on, because I've got 4 little children. I've got a daughter that's 5, and we've got 4 children, 5 and under, my wife and I. And I want them to have a fighting chance to battle what's going on, because we've handed them a really big bill to pay.
Okay, well, we hope that by talking here and by events like this, we can take some steps towards doing that. It's a race that we can win. Alec Baldwin, thank you very much for joining us on Step Up World. So Hollywood actor there, Alec Baldwin, talking to me on the Step Up World studio earlier. Now, how far would you travel to deliver a message about clean energy? Well, we met a guy, a pilot, who traveled the entire world, 26,000 miles, in fact, in a solar-powered plane to do just that. Our correspondent Chandler Green interviewed the Solar Impulse pilot Bertrand Piccard earlier this week to learn more about his daring adventure.
I'm here in San Francisco with Solar Impulse Foundation president and pilot Bertrand Piccard, who was the first to fly around the world in a plane that was completely powered by solar energy. So what inspired this incredibly risky and daring journey?
What inspired me was the wish to demonstrate that clean technologies and renewable energy can do things that are considered to be impossible, and show that if it's possible to fly with no fuel, just with the sun in an airplane, of course you can use these same technologies everywhere on the ground.
Right, and so now that you've been back on the ground and you're here in San Francisco, what message are you trying to impart to leaders about the future of clean energy?
The future of clean energy and the future of the world today depends on solutions that can, at the same time, protect the environment and be profitable for the economy and for the industry. Because we have to speak the language of the people we want to convince. It's useless to speak of protection of the environment to people who deny climate change. But if we speak to them the language of profitability, job creation and growth, then you can capture their attention. And my goal now with the Solar Impulse Foundation is to identify 1,000 of these profitable solutions that can have the label of profitability plus the label of environmental protection, and then show to the governments what is profitable today and how to encourage them to have more ambitious energy policies and environmental targets.
Right, absolutely agree. Thank you so much for being on our Step Up World program. We're so lucky to have you.
That was the Solar Impulse pilot Bertrand Piccard talking to our correspondent Chandler Green. Our next guest has pretty much done something similar. She also took personal climate action to the next level, not by flying. She sailed across the Pacific Ocean to right here in San Francisco, and she did it in a traditional Polynesian canoe with about 12 other crewmates, arriving in time for the summit. Now, the canoe had some modern fittings like wind and solar power, but they navigated by the stars, not by GPS. And their journey took them through the now infamous Great Pacific Garbage Patch of trash and plastic that's collected in the middle of the ocean. Just to put it in perspective, this enormous debris patch is 3 times the size of France. I'm not happy about that, but I'm happy to say that the captain of the vessel, Lehua Kamalu, joins me now. Lehua, it's great to have you on Step Up World. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I want to understand from you, why did you decide to make that journey the way you did, and what is the message that you think you've been able to highlight by doing that?
Well, I think one of the biggest messages we always share is how you take your journey day by day is a really important representation of your values. When we heard that the Global Climate Action Summit was taking place, there's so many really important topics being discussed at very high levels. For us, our connection to the earth and to the climate and to the elements around us and the ocean is just a very real, raw human connection to it. I think some of what we can share is that experience of seeing the ocean and being on it, hearing it, feeling it, tasting it. You don't need to be an amazing, world-class scientist to know what's going around you, to observe, to see what's happening, to see if there's something wrong, to see if there's something changing. Through our practice of non-instrument navigation and trying to use these elements to guide our way, you have to be very much in tune with the very subtle differences and changes going on around you, so that you can act on them to sail your canoe.
Now, you went through the garbage patch, which many of us will never get to see, and all of us hope wasn't there. What was it like?
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned, we're all hoping we don't find anything, in the sense that we've all been told it's there. It's sort of been confirmed that this trash is out there.
Hoping, please.
And I'm like, oh, I just hope there's this big empty ocean that I'm not going to find anything. But that's not true. There is trash out there. As we sailed north, trying to move around what's the North Pacific high pressure system, and the gyre sort of being centered where those currents and wind systems kind of collect everything. You could not go 10 minutes without seeing a crate or a float or a piece of rope or a plastic bottle. It's a complex system, this trash gyre, with floating and submerged and large and small pieces that come from various industries, various places. And seeing it, you feel a little bit helpless because I can't pick it up all out of the ocean as I'm sailing past it. Wish I could.
But you must want to.
I don't know how to just leave it there. When you go to a beach, you pick up all the trash that you see because you can make that difference right there. On the ocean, it's a problem that's going to take a lot of help and a lot of support. And I know there's people doing amazing things to address it. And so while we're discouraged to see that, at the same time, there's a beautiful ocean out there, one that's worth protecting and saving, one that sustains us. It gives us the weather, the wind that we need to sail, the fish that we need to eat. And so you spend each day sort of happy at the abundance of it and a little bit, challenged to do something about the things you don't like when you see them.
And has that experience, galvanized you, or has it energized you more to do more against climate change?
Definitely, I would say so. I mean, in the practice of sailing this canoe, I hope that this journey is not taken just by myself and my 12 crewmates who think it's worth the journey. 23 days, over 2,800 miles to get here over weather that was not typical, that was not expected, that was very much not how you usually see the North Pacific during the summertime months. That in itself was a testament that the climate was not what it used to be.
Okay. All right, Nahua Khumalo, it's been really interesting talking with you on Step Up World. Thank you very much for joining us and congratulations on your voyage.
Thank you so much.
Now, that's about all we have time for on Step Up World right now. Remember, we will be back right after the main stage action finishes. And also, please remember to join the conversation by tweeting us at UN Foundation using the hashtags GCAS2018 and StepUp2018. We're also on Facebook where you can watch previous shows, and we're also on Instagram as well. So please do tell us what you think. Okay, let's not hold things up any longer. Let's hand you over to the main stage here at the Moscone Center in San Francisco for day 2 of the Global Climate Action Summit. Thanks for watching.